Today I brought you guys a monstrosity. Listen up, Rangers! Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve, and today we got a sort of how-to video, and by sort of how-to video, I mean more like a show and tell. I will have pictures of the process, but this was more of just something for me, and it's a project that I've been like slowly working on for like almost 2 years now. I started it, and then it sat for a while, and then did the legs. So I have photos, but the recording process, there wasn't really a whole heck of a lot. Some of it kind of got lost over time. But anyways, if you guys might know, a little bit ago, I did this little guy, which was a vinyl kit. I forget the company's name. If I remember to do it, picture will be around here. But my wife got me two of the kits. One of them was this one, which is, again, just a vinyl kit. Super squishy, this one. Very flexible. That I painted up. This one in particular is currently a bit on the dusty side. As you can see all the crap flying off of it right now. Hangs out in front of my TV, because it's convenient, because I can hide behind the soundbar and then the little head just pokes out. But painted this one up a while ago. Which, what I did with this was, I just took some red paint. This one, I think, was just folk art red acrylic. I think tomato red, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a reddish orange color. Painted the entire thing and then proceeded to wipe off all the paint, which stained the vinyl. And then also kept the red in a lot of the crevices. And then I just repeatedly went over it in certain sections to kind of build it up and also adjust the coloring, which is odd because it's kind of crazy what you can do with just a color. Just for how much it built up in certain sections, it just helps to translate the color. I went with that color because when it dries, it has a very bloody look to it. And what I wanted to do was make this look like when it came out of the person, it's been like skittering around, but the blood dried on it. So that's why the tail looks the way it does. And then it also kind of gives it a very nice organic look to it as well. And then also did the teeth with metallics, with a metallic silver. I forget which silver I used for this. Probably should have dusted this thing off before I did this video. But I had to paint the little Minnie Mouse on the inside first when I was gluing it together. I think this is the only part that really got glued in. Maybe this section here. I know the tail I kept. I can remove this if I wanted to, but I think I glued this part here. But what was cool about this kit is I didn't have to do a darn thing to it other than cut the kit out of the mold, put it together and glue a couple sections, paint it, clear coated it. This nice little gloss. Gloss is what I'm thinking of. Gloss clear coat, which was just Mod Podge mixed with water. The reason why I like using that stuff is because when it hardens, it's not tacky, and then it also, especially with softer material, I've noticed it doesn't tack up. Well, if you want to use, like, I haven't had too much good luck trying to use spray-on clear coat with figures and especially vinyl stuff with softer bits. It tends to tack up a lot on me. So I tend to use that mixture whenever I'm doing stuff like this in particular. Same thing with like Godzilla's like NECA figures. I use that a lot with, because if you try to just spray it, the dorsal spines tend to tack up a lot on those. Same with Godzilla vinyls. It's just really easy. It's also really cheap because a $10 bottle of gloss or just matte Mod Podge, like, for how many customs and commissions I do, lasts me for like a good year of clear coating. But anyways, you guys are here for Ms. Bad Mama Jamma. Main reason I showed that one off is because I kind of went with the same philosophy with this girl. Is I wanted her to look like she just popped out of Ripley and has been running around for a while. Granted, she kind of dies in the movie after popping out of Ripley, but this one, I like to think that it survived and was just kind of doing her thing. So she's very red. This one I use Liquitex red. I think just basic red. Don't quote me on the shade color. It's pretty much whatever the reddest red of Liquitex looks like. I don't think I use the thick, because for me I have it's whatever they sell at Hobby Lobby, but they make an acrylic thick body paint, which I like using for stuff. Liquitex is good too, but primarily I tend to use Liquitex, especially a lot more now. So kind of the same technique where I use red on her, put it on, wiped it off, put it on, wiped it off in certain sections to kind of get this really nice, bloody, organic look. I know I've seen some people online, and it was kind of hard looking at reference photos a lot to get the right shading for her, because I seen like the NECA toy has a lot of blacks in it, and I've seen some have next to no black. I've seen some that are just like super red. I've seen some that are more closer to this one, because you'll see here this one's a little bit more yellowed than this one. This one I kept a little bit more red because I wanted her to kind of stand out between the two. But put the red on, wiped it off, put the red on, wiped it off, and then did a little bit of dry brushing with I'll put it here, but whatever Liquitex off yellow. It's like a maple yellow color. It's the same color as what the vinyl looked like originally. I used that to dry brush over top of it a bit, just to help brighten the colors a bit. With the way my LEDs are making this look, it's not quite as red in hand. It's definitely got a lot more yellowing to it. Kind of see here. I think as long as the camera's portraying it right, that's about what it looks like in picture. But did that, dry brushed it. Did a little bit over the tail, but I didn't go crazy because, again, wanted to make her look like she hasn't been out for long of the human body. And then the only other highlighting is I did blacks around what I consider to be like the hard sections of her. So there's these little rib sections here on the legs, and same with on the forearms and around the hands. That was pretty much like what I've seen on a lot of things, consistently had some black detailing on it, so I kind of kept that with her. And did even the little legs back here on the undersection of the arms, and then this little thigh piece and around the calves and the feet on the back here, and there's a little bit on the undersection here too. One thing I forgot to mention too is she was a vinyl kit, but she also has, like, this is actually hard. This is a very hard, I think it's vinyl. This is much softer, just like the Chestburster. So when cutting it apart, it was a pain in the butt for starters. And then a lot of it didn't really like to line up right. So I actually used epoxy putty, which one helps to stiffen it. It's just kind of hard to put on originally because of how soft it is. You kind of have to get it just the way you want it and don't touch it for a while. And I use that to hide a lot of the mold lines and to make her look a lot more like one solid piece. I had to do it a lot on the limbs here. So each one of these little pieces that bend was a separate section. So like for the kneecap here, there was a giant gap here. So I had to take epoxy putty and then try to make it one solid piece. Same thing with like this knee. There was a giant gap here to make it one piece. This, I had to hide the seam line there. It wasn't pretty when I first got it together. In hand, I could kind of notice a couple areas where you could definitely tell it was epoxy. But it's not the most noticeable thing. Like I literally gotta sit here and kind of scrutinize it to really peg out the detailing. Because one thing that's really nice is paint. A decent paint job hides a lot of crimes. And the way she's set up right now, like, I gotta be honest, I couldn't really be happier. If one thing, I think this maybe could have been a little bit cleaner in hindsight, but again, the way I painted it, it kind of just looks like the way her skin's folding around the neck. It's loose, so she has more flexibility. That's what I was kind of going for, and it definitely conveys that, and it just helps to, because like even this section, it's all epoxy right here, because there was like a giant gap along this section here, and same with even the undersection of her neck here. I had to epoxy that too to cover it up. Overall, I think it looks really good. I'd say the most difficult part of the paint job was definitely doing this around here. What probably would have been easier is doing an airbrushing. I decided to skip that. And I kind of applied it sort of like what you would do with makeup, where I took black. I just noticed something scuffed right there. I think is where I kept her, so I'm going to have to touch that up. But the black here, I just applied on sort of like you did makeup. So this was Mars Black from Liquitex. Put it on the brush, wiped off as much as I could, and then proceeded to slowly just do little circles around the sections of her crest here in order to, again, highlight what I consider to be like the hard dome sections that are like starting to solidify but not quite. And same way, did the same thing around the jawline here. Added a little bit to her chin. But again, nothing too crazy. Didn't want to oversaturate it. That kind of annoys me. I gotta fix that little part. I don't wanna. But pretty much it. Oh yeah, she's also got metallic teeth. And then, fun fact, another thing, that the reason why she took forever for me to do, oh yeah, I do epoxy around her jaw to make that blend a little bit better, because otherwise there would have been a bit of a gap here, and I wanted it to not be. But her little mini mouth, which you can barely see, is actually 3D printed because I lost the part from her sitting for so long. So I ended up finding a alien file for free online, chopped off the little mini mouth, filled it, and then 3D printed it, and sized it, 3D printed it, put it in her mouth, and then painted it, which you can't really tell, which is nice, because that was the thing. Like, it didn't have to be the best looking print. It just had to be served. Like, it pretty much just needed teeth, so that if people really wanted to look inside her mouth, you'll be able to see the teeth. But again, it's not the best print, the best file I've ever seen. Like, most detailed file just was good enough for the task at hand. But anyways, super pleased with her. Really cool little kit. If you guys want to get a hold of this kit for yourself, I think it's about $150 right now is what they're going for on eBay. I think my wife didn't, like, at the time she got these, I think got both of these for like less than $100. But that was like a few years ago she got that one, because that Chestburster's been done for like a good year and a half. She, on the other hand, definitely spent a little bit more time on it. Because I think the only problem I really had with the Chestburster is my initial clear coat. I tried doing the spray and wholeheartedly regretted it, because I had to take rubbing alcohol, wipe it all off, and then redo my paint again. And it was frustrating as crap. Didn't have the same issue with her. And to be honest, I think the reason why this happened is because I was messing around with it shortly after it dried, and it wasn't hard enough to really sustain excessive use. So she's got that there. Oh yeah, her claws are metallic. Forgot to point that out. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. So help us defeat those kaijus by hitting the like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. We also got Instagram, Patreon, Pinterest, Facebook. Guys, like people today, what you want to donate, we greatly appreciate it. If you guys would like to get yourself some cool alien collectibles, we'll have a link in the description for Entertainment Earth. Help support the channel to get yourself some sweet action figures. And that's about it. I feel like with baby Casey on the way, I think I need to strap a bow on this thing and just let it hang out in a room. watch over her in the crib. I feel like I gotta desensitize her to this stuff at some point. But anyways, see you guys next video. Bye-bye.